recording from a cemetery that was kind of a mixture of Indians yelling and the Bigfoot yell scream at the end. But the pictures and stuff that he supposedly sent you and all that was from a house in Dover, Arkansas. It's up and behind the house. We had some extra time. We had set up there, and some of my guys went walking around in the wood area because it was a nice-looking house, and we asked if we could go walking through the woods just to, kind of get ready for the night and everything because, like I said, we had some extra time, and our guys kind of run across these footprints out in the middle of the woods. And then we found that looked like maybe a place where they were trying to, house or something or other because they bent the trees over and interlaced each other without really breaking them off the ground. They just leaned over. And we knew that couldn't be just natural. Something had to do that. And so we those were the pictures that Joe was supposedly sent to us from up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, there is a strong correlation between these things and cemeteries. That I do know. What exactly it is, I'm not sure, but I know that they for some reason, cemeteries seem to be one of their favorite areas. The same friend of mine north of Dallas to East Texas, just about. I'm wanting to say it was probably 20 minutes. Well, it wasn't even that far. It was probably maybe 10 or 12 miles south of where I was at, up out in East Texas, up north of Longview there. He was probably, 10, 15 minutes maybe tops to the cemetery that he and a group went to one night because a ghost hunting group was getting all kinds of encounters at this one cemetery, and they couldn't figure out what it was. So they brought him and a couple other Bigfooters in to, just to see. And sure enough, they had rocks thrown. One lady swears nothing happened. To this day, she swears nothing happened, but she won't go back out there. She won't even talk about it. But, yeah, they had pictures. They had pictures, all the pictures they could while all this was going on. Nobody had a recorder, so they didn't get all that. But it was very, very, they were very protective of that cemetery for some reason. And those people all ended up, after a few minutes of this going on, they said, it's time for us to get out of here because they don't want us here. Then here, I'm wanting to say it was probably 2-3 years ago, the same guy and another friend of ours who lives over toward Tyler, Texas, we had all gone to one of the old family cemetery. We all found out that we had relatives in common way back from the 1800s. And I said, well, let's go to this cemetery because it's very historical, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. And we got out there, and we were going through the cemetery, and all of a sudden Billy looks down, and he goes, don't move, neither one of you. So we didn't, and he said, look down. We looked down, and there is probably a 14-inch footprint right next to my foot that I hadn't even noticed. And I wear a size 10.5 tennis shoe, so it was a pretty good sized print. And then when we started looking right there at that cemetery, and you could see where the fences had been pushed down and looked like they had been stepped over. There was enough grass in the cemetery where you can't see footprints, and it was just dry enough to where they weren't going to leave a real deep footprint. And that area up there where this cemetery is, it's black dirt. So if it was wet, it would have left a huge footprint. But it was dry enough, the ground was starting to crack, and it left really, really just pretty footprint, but not very deep.
When we was up there at the Dover house up there, and we went up there the second time, matter of fact, doing an investigation up here because the lady wanted us to come back, and we did. We walked around out there, and the footprints that we had caught before wasn't there. So I don't know if it was just that he was traveling through and just kind of pondered in that area. But she said she has sounds like rapping going on her house at nighttime. Certain times, not all the times, at certain times, and he comes up and kind of raps on the side of the house. And we found prints pretty close to the house, even. So, but she said it happens quite often. But the last time we was up there, we didn't find any prints, and it just rained. So, I don't know if it was just we was up, got lucky and found those prints up there or what,
Yeah,
but we
if you hear a train in the background, it's the train here. He'll do that till he gets on past that one crossing for some reason. He just likes to blow his horn all the way past. And I know you probably hear him in the background, but that's on my end. Yeah, we had a very interesting case one time come up, and there were 11 of us who took our Easter weekend to actually go to this one family who was asking for help because they didn't know what was going on. And to me, this just gives you an idea of how perceptive these things are and how intelligent they are. When the male of the household, the male parental figure of the household, the father, I should say, was home, there was all kinds of activity around there that wasn't good. It was a bad thing. Everybody had a bad feeling. But when it was just the mother and the 3 boys there, they never had any problems. They wouldn't come up to the house or anything like that. When the father was there, they would come up and rattle on the house and bang on the side of the house and stuff like that. Run their hands down the side, stuff like that. And it gave everybody a really bad feeling. Now, when it was one of the boys would actually take a French horn and he would blow a certain note, and they would answer in the same tone. And it really kind of threw me for a loop when they did that. But we spent all Easter weekend, and at one point we walked out across the fence line, and we'd been out through across this fence line, probably 2 days. We've been out walking around this fence line and crossing it over into the next pasture over. And found a fairly fresh cow skull on an anthill that the skull itself was broken, right down between the eyes, down to the nose. It was like something had hit it. It was blunt force trauma, literally. You'll find some of them that have been out and dried out and they're still intact. This was literally broken and dropped on an anthill. And it had been cleaned up pretty good by the ants, but still, it was. You could tell it was a hurt. It was hurt when it went down.
Yeah,
anyway,
the thing I was going to ask you, you already answered it a while ago, was about the cemetery stuff, and I noticed that a lot of the research I've been, like I said, I looked into earlier, that they hang around cemeteries a lot, and the only thing I can come up with is because it's peaceful,
Well,
and it's peaceful, but I don't. It has to do really with the paranormal, not since they're just it has to do more with the UFO'S.
Well, here's something too you may want to take into consideration on the cemeteries. We bury our dead, and we bury our dead in the cemeteries. I am under the impression, and this is just from what I've gathered over the years, is and I'll stick with this theory for now, because that's all it is a theory, is my impression is that they bury their dead as well. And it's a place that's to be revered and respected. And I think that's the way they treat it. And that's why they're around cemeteries a lot. That's a place where, I say why they're around cemeteries. That's why they're protective of cemeteries, I should say. Some of these older cemeteries that are out in the woods.
Do you believe, and this is something I read the other night too, like I said, I've kind of touched base on looking it up and all this, because everybody asks, why haven't we found any bones or anything like that from a Bigfoot?
Well, there's two theories on that, and one of them is they bury their dead, which is one of the beliefs that I have. The other one is if a deer or something dies naturally in the woods, how long does that carcass last? You're a hunter. I mean, you know as well as I do. If you get a full-grown bear dies in the woods, you don't come up on a whole bear skeleton.
Right.
It's scattered within a matter of days, actually. Within a week or so, it's scattered everywhere.
Right. But I personally myself, I don't hunt, so I've got my co-host here, Keith here. He's a avid hunter, so he probably could do more, tell you about the bones and stuff. But I can't, because I'm not a hunter.
Yeah, well, Keith could probably tell you the same thing. You don't. If a deer dies naturally in the woods, you don't find their carcass. It's strewn out all over the place by coyotes, dogs, or whatever else.
That's what I've never found a whole deer carcass or a bear carcass. When I do find signs of them, they're scattered, like you said.
Yeah, they're scattered.
And
they may have only been dead for a week or two, but they're scattered everywhere. So you're not going to find a whole carcass.
Yeah, well, it goes back to that, and like I said, some of the theories that I've been studying, well, not really studying, I just kind of overlooked them the other night because this is coming up. A lot of them think that since the Bigfoots and the UFO'S and aliens and stuff kind of conjunction together, that since nobody's really found any evidence of bones or anything like that, that when they get old or fixing to die or something really like that, they just beam them up and kind of rejuvenate them and bring them back down. So, that's kind of a funny theory, I guess, but that's what I was kind of wondering if you might thought about that or something.
No, I can't really say yay or nay. Like I said, as far as the correlation between the two goes, because I have no clue. I've never had the two encounters in the same night. I don't know why. There are so many people that have, but I've never had encounters with the two at the same time on the same night. Now, as far as if you look back in American Indian culture, and I'm not going to say Native American because I kind of believe what Russell Means said. We were all born here, therefore we're all Native Americans. So I still use the term American Indian. What their stories date back well over 400 years before a white man set foot on this continent, and their stories involve the Bigfoot, as we call them. That term actually didn't come into play till I think the late 40s, early 50s, something like that. But I'm of the belief that when they're old, when they do get old and they do die, that they are buried. kind of like elephants. Elephants have, everyone used to go, they used to